Welcome to World Cinema Reviews. This is your host Frank the Vamp, and as we continue to count down to the number one choice, we just talked about my second favorite Stephen King adaptation, which was Secret Window. Extremely underrated film, fantastic in my eyes. Check it out. Now, right before we're going to talk about number one, I wanted to make a fun video, talk about a lot of films that did not make the list. Now, keep in mind, remember, I disqualified some films for not being horror. This is a horror only list. So, The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and Stand By Me are fantastic films that will probably 99.999% will make this list. However, they did not make the list because they're dramas. They're awesome dramas, but they're still dramas. They're not horror. Now, having said that, let's talk about the big ones. Let's talk about the big movies that you haven't heard yet, that people are wondering why the hell these movies didn't make the list. I'll say a disclaimer before I begin. These movies are fantastic. I love them. I love all the movies I'm going to talk about. But remember, it's very hard to get to the top 10. And another thing, they got disqualified for one reason or another. I didn't like cast choice. I didn't like the ending. Something in the adaptation didn't go quite right. Something that rubbed me the wrong way. That's what made it, pretty. How can I say? It just basically, I still think it's a cool film. I still watch it. It's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes some of these films may even be better than the films that are inside my top 10 list. But for one reason or another, I just don't regard them as much. So without further ado, here we go. Let's talk about the big ones. The films that are greatly critically and fan loved that did not make the list. They all float down here. They all float, kid. Sorry, just couldn't resist. Of course, I'm talking about the movie It, and I love it. I mean, it's campy, it's cheesy, it's really good and over the top. Has a lot of great things that I really like. But there's things that bother me about the film. But before I talk about it, let me praise it. And let's go to the top honor, which is Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. Besides the movie Clown, the recent movie from Eli Roth, I personally think Tim Curry's Pennywise, it's unbelievable. I heard they're even making a remake, which I would love that they make a remake of this movie because of the problems that it has. But one thing that I can praise definitely is that Pennywise is Tim Curry. So scary, so fun. He's such a ham. So many jokes, so many quotable things that he says. Just awesome. I'm also gonna praise when they're kids and you can totally see the evil that it goes when the little kid is talking through the drain pipe there, to the manhole there where Pennywise sticks his head out and starts talking to the kid, saying that they have all kind of great things, kind of like making like a really weird dude talking to him from the drain pipe to the kid, and he has a really evil vibe. And when the kids interact with Pennywise, that's where the film shines. That's where it's great. Problems, okay, a lot of it is lost in the adults. I think some of the performances, I mean, they got some fine actors there. The late John Ritter's there. I know Harry Anderson and a couple more really good strong performances. But there's just so, the film, sometimes, goes silly, with too many balloons and too many, cheesy, dumb jokes. And the film loses its strength incredibly by the stupid, stupid ending. Spoilers. I'm gonna put spoilers on this thing. I hope not to spoil too much, but yeah, I mean, the ending is just stupid. I mean, the not having Pennywise, which was the incarnation of the fear of all of them, and having this giant stupid spider, just they lost me. I was laughing at the end. I wasn't afraid. I was just chuckling. I remember watching this TV series when it aired, and I remember being a big event, and I remember feeling hugely disappointed. So, as many great things that it has going for it, I will say that it goes to a situation with me because of the second half of the miniseries when they become adults is not nearly as strong. I was hoping for something like Stand By Me, where they just remain kids, and they talk about the whole story and maybe have it unwinded there. There's just so many problems. The special effects are incredibly cheesy, and most of it, and it's just not. Besides Tim Curry's awesome makeup, there's not much here. So there, that's why it doesn't make the list. Okay, now we're gonna talk about another big, big, big movie that that just you know makes a big, big deal. I mean, it was a big, big deal, and it's a great adaptation, and I really enjoy it. But it's just not. Let me explain. Pet Cemetery. Uh, I reviewed Pet Cemetery, and in fact, I'm probably gonna put that in the description there. A couple of videos that I made about it, and it's a fantastic movie. I love the fact that there's a ancient burial ground, a Native American burial ground where you can, when pets come, you bury pets and they come back, but eventually, the temptation and the grief of having lost a young kid, makes the desire of burying him there and having come back. The problems are when people come back. I mean, or pets, they come back not the same. They come back as evil entities, murdering evil spirits that take over. It's no longer they're no longer the person that has us. It looks like they have been possessed by a different demonic soul. Love the story. Love the way it went. I love the acting. In fact, everything is great about it, except the fact that two things I just can't stand. Child, when children die, in movies, and that really made it really sad and dark, and it's just how I just couldn't. And the fact that what happens, how the kid turns killer and all that stuff, watching that gorgeous little baby go horribly maniacal later, it just turned me off. I understand why this is a great adaptation. I'm not saying it's not. It's just that the the turn of events, the ending just ruined it for me. It just couldn't. I just couldn't. I just can't say that it's great because I just don't enjoy it. I know it's a great movie. It's probably one of the best, but that pretty much would be one of the big ones. Um, and Yeah, let's talk about some more. Now, as far as there's many other movies uh, that I that I like, really a lot, but are just barely couldn't make the list. So let's talk about movies that barely miss. The closest movie that almost made it, but just barely missed it, is App Pupil. And App Pupil, at first I was debating, is it really horror? But it has just so much horror, even though it's kind of a thriller drama. I wouldn't disqualify. I would say it's horror because it has horror elements on it. Story of this young kid that actually finds this old man that he's a Nazi, pretending to be just a feeble old man, but he's a cruel freaking bastard, homicidal, horrible man. But rather than the kid telling the cops about it or anything like that, he just kind of like is fascinated by him. He wants to know about gassing Jews. He wants to know about cruelty. He wants to know about bigotry. He wants to know about racism. And at first, the kid goes into, not having good grades and stuff. And then the old man kind of like blackmails him into say, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you that you're getting all these bad grades and you to your parents so that, and that the fact that you're interested in Nazi things, and he motivates him to go into studying hard, and in a very short time he becomes an excellent student, and the old man is so proud of him, and there's a chilling scene where the kid forces the old man to get into an SS uniform, and man, that's freaking creepy. Ian McKellen, fantastic performance. Just Bryan Singer, unbelievable, great directing, and the kid Brad Renfro, chilling performance, and the way that movie ends with the hatred just being passed down from one generation to the other kind of makes you scary, kind of makes you think about some things going on around the world. Do you think that fascism it's over or still alive? I think it's very much alive, and this film kind of a chilling reminder. I think the only reason why this film didn't make the list is because of that kind of like not so defined horror, and the other thing is just that it was pretty much going to take the place of Cujo, and I went back and forth with this one and Cujo is just a rewatch for rewatch value. This is a very heavy film, and I feel that I can watch Cujo all over again. This is one film that I save for special occasions, but it's a brilliant film. So yeah, Up Pupil is probably one of my regrets that didn't make the list, so barely escaped. Children of the Corn. Children of Corn is not a good film. It's not a good adaptation. It has a lot of fascinating things about these kids that build a cult around a very chilling, weird entity, ghost spirit thing that lives in the cornfield, and the dude Franklin, that's his. Is it Ben? No, John Franklin, I think is the name of the actor. Correct me if I'm wrong. Great as Isaac and Malachi, and his henchman Malachi. Those two little bastards are amazing. They're over the top. They're cheesy. They're really chilling. They make you. Reason why this didn't make the list is because this movie is just one of those so bad it's good. So I don't think it's as great, but yeah, you could have made the list because it's so freaking enjoyable to watch. The original Children of the Corn, I don't care much for its sequels, but the original one, I think, is definitely worth watching. Barely, barely miss, getting into the list. Another one, and I'm gonna say those two. I think the only reason they didn't make the list, it's once again I was weighing against which one to kick out. It wasn't gonna kick out the Night Flyer or Christine. So once again I was going for Cujo maybe, but I couldn't do it because I'm saving this for another list. It's because they're horror anthologies. Creepshow and Creepshow 2, I equally love them. Great acting. The same thing as Cat's Eye. These little stories here and there. The story, of a guy, coming back, from his, with the head with the birthday cake, and then the drowning of the water, and then they have so many great moments. The comic book style, cutaway scenes, they're just so delightful. I love the Creepshow, and same thing as Cat's Eye. I can say the same thing for Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and it's just very great anthologies, but they're anthologies. I mean, and I couldn't, good conscience include them, but they're great. So yeah, those will make top 10 my favorite anthologies of all time, perhaps horror anthologies, but they just don't make it as films. Let me see. I would say that there's one more that I definitely will say that barely miss, which is The Dead Zone. That's another one where, I mean, Christopher Walken's great, Martin Sheen. Oh man, it's so hard not to include this on the list, right? But The Dead Zone is fantastic. I mean, it makes the commentary, and it's kind of now relevant. Don't you guys think? What happens if we put a crazy dude in the White House now that Super Tuesday and all these things are coming up, right? Yeah, kind of eerie for the U.S. Putting up someone who's could be a crazy and a little unqualified, if you know what I mean, can make horrible decisions that may kill a whole bunch of people. And Christopher Walken, gets this power to see the future, and he sees that this man, if he becomes president, he's going to kill everybody, basically. And the ending's superb. The movie's superb. The only problem I see here is the fact that it goes along. Yeah, it does have horror, but it's a lot of a drama too. I mean, it's almost like saying like if I would tell you, is the Manchurian Candidate a drama? Is it a political drama, or is it a horror film? And it falls more into a political drama. I think that The Dead Zone, kind of has some horror elements and all that stuff. And the other thing, it's just the pacing of the film's a little slow. I do like slow burn films sometimes, but I just, to tell you the truth, I just didn't enjoy it as much as the top 10. But it would have, if it would have gone into the list, it would have gone into number 10. It would probably have replaced Christine. But Christine is just so fun. The Dead Zone is kind of a downer, but it's still an awesome film, so I would still recommend it. Any other film that I can say that well, yeah, before you ask me, I mean, there's a few films that you're probably wondering. I love Firestarter. I just thought it was a bit too simple and one trick pony, but it's a great film. And it's But once again, I'm not too thrilled about seeing, kids, having powers and can kill people. Not such a big fan of that for some reason. I don't know. I think, poor kids, should remain innocent and not, you know, mess with those things perhaps. I'm going around down the list. Oh yeah, one very important one, last one is the Mist. Love the Mist. Love everything about the Mist except the ending. That totally ruined what was to me gonna be for sure in the top 10. Love everything about the Mist. It's just that the brutal ending, it was just too rough. I mean, and the fact that the little kid gets shot by his own father, minutes before the army walks in to save him. It's just too brutal. I think I was depressed the whole week. I'm serious. After I watched this film, and I love it. It's great. It's a great film. I still think everybody should watch it, but that's why it didn't make my top 10. So now I left some films out, right? I mean, because there's one more. There's one more film, and you guys are. I think that now that I narrow down, it should be way easier to guess it. Oh, by the way, before you ask me, The Stand, awesome book, great book. It's a really weird movie and too long, and I know it's a mini series, but it just didn't do it justice. I mean, because a lot of people say, well, The Stand is an awesome book. I agree. I read the book, but it didn't translate great in the screen. So there you go. So stay tuned for my number one Stephen King adaptation. We're finally there. Take it easy and see you for the finale.